Okay, so Jeanne, you were consultant for us before one time for the customer deposit. So you create a customer deposit account for us in QuickBooks, and I started using it, but I only do general entry. So my question is, if we have a customer have 5-6 projects run with us at the same time, and every project for sure the sales money is different, right? So how can I record into like separate them properly? Now I think I have a little bit of hard time to figure out like which deposit belongs to which project, because I put them all in customer deposit account rather than go with the individual sales order. And
Okay.
Yeah.
So the customer deposit account, you can have more than one if you wanted to. You know, it concerns me when you say you use journal entries. I mean, when we ship against that sales order, we're going to do pretty much the same thing. And I don't think I have a customer deposit in this file yet. This is a brand new sample file. But we can put on the face of the sales order. Okay. We can add a line that is the customer deposit, and that will reverse, it'll take the money out of the customer deposit account. Okay. So I believe I need a part number for this first. So.
Actually, we tried that way I think you told us before, we create a line under the sales order, record as a customer deposit. For some reason, that amount we record there doesn't pass on to QuickBooks. I don't get to deduct the money. I still get the original sales order amount.
I think there's a preference that you need to change. Okay.
Okay.
It's either a service type product, or I can make it a shipping type part number. And over here, under sales order, and the camera is hiding my module options. That's so good. Tools, module options. Way over here to the far right is a shipping module option, and it does not have what I want. It's in the other shipping module options. Okay. So.
Which other shipping?
Okay. Okay, fulfill service items on ship. So you would say to autofill those, because I'm guessing that you have a lot of open sales orders because this item is still open on the sales order.
You know where is this?
That way, when you do the shipping, it ships as well, and I forgot to code that to customer deposits.
Oh, it's so small.
Sorry about that. I think maybe I went a little big on my most recent screen upgrade. Okay, does that help, Sophia?
I still not very clear. So another question is, because this type of thing, so we kind of go ahead and did receive a payment under the Fishbowl, because when we start a transaction, we always send out sales order. Then we look at the customer. I just did a record as a customer deposit. I record as a payment. So this payment passed on to QuickBooks, which was right when we're doing testing, right? So then we were thinking, for example, if the customer want the project going, he give us deposit. Then he changed his mind, he want to get deposit back. Then we did a refund. But when the refund come pass on to the Fishbowl, because the payment goes to account receivable, decrease account receivable, and the refund decrease the sales. So ended up we did a payment and they did a refund. When the amount was passed on to the QuickBooks, it didn't go the same account, right? So we try to avoid that. Ended up my customer, the real balance he needed to pay, always, let's say 200, always $200 less. So then ended up it's not even out. And I also ask Fishbowl. So the Fishbowl specialist told us, in Fishbowl, we can only record the payment. We cannot record the customer deposit. So Jeanne, yeah, if this situation happen, how we can adjust the amount, right?
Well, sometimes you belong in QuickBooks and not Fishbowl. I would have refunded him out of QuickBooks and canceled the sales order.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. You know, I did the payment in Fishbowl, I did a refund in Fishbowl because the refund money goes to the sales account and the payment goes to account receivable.
Well, your refund, yeah, your mapping's messed up on that.
So how can we adjust the mapping and ask, and I even called the Fishbowl specialist. They said they cannot figure out either. How should I map the refund? Yeah.
Jeanne, would this be better for Sophia to schedule a support session and you can go in and help her out with something like that?
Yeah, well, you know, that refund part number that you created, or did you do a refund up here under payments?
Yeah, I did a refund there. I didn't create any parts for refund.
Okay. And when you do refunds up here under payments, you get some interesting journal entries.
Yes.
That I think it doubles your credit in accounts receivable. Yeah, some things are just better done in QuickBooks.
Okay. Okay.
Next question.
So the next person will be Kristen Gilbert. I would like to go over how to look at previous periods in Fishbowl and how to make sure that syncs correctly with QuickBooks.
Okay, so one thing we know for sure is there is no way to truly get an inventory valuation at any other point than now, okay? So what I do with all of my customers is I come up here to the schedule, and I have not done this yet, so I'll create a new one. All right, and I schedule a valuation report to be run at the end of every night. And find a nice spot for this. Okay. And file type, I always do CSV. If you select XLS here, you get some kind of formatting stuff that's not as pretty. Oops, I forgot to specify my report. And the report I always use with customers is the inventory valuation by account, because it shows all the costing methods. So I don't want to hide inactive because I might have somebody who's made something inactive with inventory on hand. And then I set it to run at like 10 p.m. So the dates on the report are the same as the date of the activity. Okay. And any chance we answered your question, Kristen? The other thing you can do is I have a report package that allows you to roll forward and roll backwards your inventory. And it looks at all of our purchases. It looks at our sales and cost of goods sold. It looks at manufacturing orders and inventory adjustments. And with those 4 reports, you can, check the activity in Fishbowl against the activity that's in QuickBooks, because far too often people change transactions after they get to QuickBooks, and that messes up our QuickBooks and Fishbowl valuation together. Okay. I hope I answered your question, Kristen. Sorry you don't have audio.
Okay, so we do have a question from Juan. What is the best way to adjust PO item cost after the item has already been fulfilled?
Okay, the best way to adjust the PO item costs is to go through a receiving process. So as far, the only people, the operation should only be able to use the truck. Okay. Okay. Whoops. I used the truck. Why did I get a check mark? That. Okay, so I'm going to reconcile this. And this is where we can go ahead and change the cost that's being billed. And then we can also go through here and add things that were not on the original bill. Duties, freight, etc. And now that will go over, let us review it, it'll let us land costs, and it will also let, you know, it's now correct to pay the vendor. Now, if you did truly fulfill this, and so accounting can't do their normal thing, you're going to have to go back to your original purchase order, which is now fulfilled, make a copy of it, and do a fake credit return, and then redo it correctly. Okay? One. Okay. Next.
Okay, so Anna Marie, I'm brand new, so go slowly for me. Okay, Anna. Anna Marie.
Is that your way of telling me I'm talking too fast?
Anna Marie, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm brand new, starting with the company. I've used QuickBooks for years, but never used an inventory system. So Fishbowl is kind of new to me, but my biggest issue today is we will create a PO. It will sit in inventory asset for a long time. It got prepaid, partially prepaid. So we put that in inventory asset.
No.
But the bill comes out and the bill doesn't match the PO. So this has been going on for months. I'm hired to help clean up the balance sheet, and there's AP balances sitting there because the PO was far greater than the ultimate fulfilled order.
All right. Now, it's purchase orders by themselves do not go over to QuickBooks. Okay. And I have to ask one question before I go into this. Are you using QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop?
QuickBooks Online, but what my team sends me the purchase order.
Okay. So what's supposed to happen is we're supposed to have operations come in here and do absolutely nothing but receive against the purchase order. Okay.
How did it get created?
How does a purchase order get created?
Yes.
Okay, well, someone comes in here and there aren't purchase orders in QuickBooks anymore.
Right. So someone creates a purchase order.
Yeah.
And then the bill for that purchase order comes over to QuickBooks somehow.
That's because operations doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. Okay. So I come over here to receiving. And what operations is supposed to do is receive this guy with the little truck. They are not supposed to touch this, and they're not supposed to touch that.
What is this and that? I'm sorry, it's so small on my screen, I can't see it.
I apologize. I think my 4K monitors were a mistake. Okay. This is the reconcile button. This is an accounting function. This is the fulfill button, and if they touch that one, accounting never has a chance to reconcile. Okay.
Okay, the first one is the truck, that's receiving. Then
Yeah,
you
the
got
truck is operations, and that's they can receive it, and they're just verifying quantity. Okay.
Okay.
And
they're
then,
receiving an order. Is that correct?
right, we receive it against the purchase order. And that's where operations is supposed to stop. So if you, and then accounting, once they have the bill in their hand, are supposed to come over here and hit the reconcile button. Okay. And
you're in Fishbowl doing a reconcile?
Yes, the reconcile happens in Fishbowl. It's the classic 3-part match.
Okay.
Okay. So accounting owns the screen as far as I'm concerned. All right, and then we want our receive date to be equal to our bill date, because QuickBooks is highly date sensitive, and Fishbowl's not. So if I put any date here other than the day I received it, I will create a difference between Fishbowl and QuickBooks.
So my question is, I don't think they're creating a bill the way you are doing it.
I'm pretty sure they're not creating a bill the way I'm doing it.
But how is the bill getting into AP and QuickBooks?
Well, what they're doing, my guess is what they're doing, is instead of using the truck, they're using the check mark, and it's coming over as a bill.
I gotcha. And that check mark is fulfilled?
That check mark is fulfilled, yes. And once something's fulfilled, unless you're really fast, you cannot change it.
Right, and what's happening is the bill is being created months and months and months before the order is actually fulfilled. So it sits out there and overstates our AP on the financials.
Somebody doesn't understand that you do not need a bill in order to cut a check. So when we're doing these prepaids, what we should be doing is writing a check in QuickBooks or initiating a wire transfer or however you're going to get it out of it. And you should have an account called prepaid inventory. Okay.
Okay, so we should write the check without an order.
You do not need a bill. Okay, what they're doing is there are a lot of people who have the mistaken impression that they've got to put a bill into accounts payable to get cash out of the bank account.
No, what I think is happening is they're creating a PO, which then someone in accounting had been applying the prepayment against.
No, there should be no purchase orders in QuickBooks.
What is it then? I got Fishbowl invoices, Fishbowl orders. I have both coming in.
Somebody's doing something wrong in the process, okay?
Okay.
So if I'm prepaying for inventory, I should write a check and code it to prepaid inventory. I should not code it to inventory asset. Because it isn't, it's still an asset, but it isn't an inventory asset until the vendor performs. Because if they don't perform and ship you the stuff, then you don't really have any inventory.
Right, but what I think they're doing is creating an order so that that inventory shows up as committed.
I think we need to have your ops people on a session.
Yeah, I think that's clear to me.
We need to change some process problems.
Because they'll create, for an example, I have a purchase order for $48,000. It was created in August. Okay, they had to pay 50% up front. So I have they paid it with a ACH payment through the bank.
Right.
So that payment got parked somewhere as undefined income, undefined expense, because nobody knew that it was supposed to go against an order.
No, we need to have it go to prepaid inventory.
Right, so I moved it, right? So I moved that payment into prepaid inventory, but that does not fulfill the entire purchase order, which is $48,000.
So what's going to happen?
But the bill that came over to AP last week was for $52,000.
Well,
so I'm going, how does that happen? And I keep asking the question, why does the bill change after the PO has been created?
Okay, the bill is allowed to change. The bill can include shipping. It can include extra handling. They might have overrun whatever it is the vendor did a run, and you agreed to take excess quantity. Okay.
Gotcha.
So that is why this 3-part match is so important. And we need to get your operations people to stop hitting the fulfill button.
Okay. So when the bill includes shipping, etc.
Yeah. So right here next,
I should see the detail of that bill that shows inventory plus shipping plus whatever other agreement or financial thing they agreed to pay. So when I open the bill, I don't have any detail.
Okay. You should be getting the bills first. You should be the one causing bills to show up in QuickBooks.
Once the fulfillment is finalized.
No, you don't let them fulfill, you let them receive. Then you're going to go in here and reconcile. So I just added a $50 freight charge. Okay. So now I have a bill for, it was only $8, but so now I'm going to hit finish, and this is going to be ready to go to QuickBooks.
So we have a couple people who sent in some things. This is from Debbie. She would like to know, how are items removed from the inventory in Fishbowl? How does the reduction integrate into QuickBooks?
Okay, so typically, and I have a great blog on this one called Oops versus UGG. Okay, so if I am shipping against a sales order, what I'm going to get over in QuickBooks is a journal entry recording the cost of goods sold. If I'm making an adjustment to an existing part number, it is going to send over a journal entry that will credit inventory and debit whatever account I have that part mapped to. Okay, so this is FG 2200. If I come over here and look at the part FG 2200, this guy is going to go to the default inventory adjustment account or the default scrap account, depending on which adjustment type I use. Okay. Transfer orders do not affect inventory's balance. Okay.
Next question.
I think.
Okay. All right, so we have one from Greg. Is there a way to enter a positive dollar amount on an RMA We currently go to the sales order to add the positive dollar amount before completing the sales order for the customer.
What is the positive amount for?
Jeanne, can you hear me?
I certainly can.
Okay, yeah, this is Greg. What it is, we have a customer that when they send something back for work, they prepay a specific state tax. And when we do the RMA, we need to reimburse that state tax back to them.
Okay, so I'm going to credit that back. So I should have a part number for that state tax, shouldn't I?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and so I don't understand why it would be a positive number on, or a negative number on a sales order.
Okay, so when we enter an RMA, at least on our side, the default, whenever we put in a quantity and a specific part number, it automatically shows a negative dollar amount that's being paid back to the customer. But we want to give them the positive dollar amount for the state tax that they prepaid on it.
Okay, but I don't believe that's going to be a positive amount.
Yeah, we tried it. It wouldn't. I was just wondering if there was a trick to it we're missing.
All right.
Like, could we put in a negative quantity and then it multiplies by the negative dollar amount and comes out as a positive?
It's a liability account, Jeannie.
Yeah. So I want the credit. I don't get why. Okay, so when I ship this guy, he's going to be a credit return.
Correct.
And so it's going to credit whatever account that is mapped to. And it's going to, okay. It's going to debit whatever account that's mapped to. So if I'm relieving the liability, the fact that it's a credit is fine, isn't it? What am I missing?
Well, gosh, I'm trying to find a better way to explain this.
Maybe I can help. This is Dan.
Oh, thanks, Dan.
So when the sales order goes out, we pass this tax liability on to the customer as a negative dollar amount. So when it comes back to us, they are passing the liability back to us. It would be a positive account. If we do this on the RMA as a credit, it hits a sales order as a negative dollar amount, which would make our liability account go the opposite way than we want it to.
Our liability account, this doesn't, okay. And so what you're trying to do is, all right. All right, so that is a debit to sales and a credit to AR at the moment. You are trying to credit a liability account or debit a liability?
We are trying to credit a liability account.
Yes. Thanks, Dan.
So it's going to increase your liability. Yeah,
That's correct.
All right. So the RMA does have one function here. New. Okay. do not verify. And I'm going to have one each of these come in. And I've got to have a serial number. Next. RMA type, credit. Okay. And now when I hit return, next. Okay, so it's now asking me how much my credit's going to be. And then I can have this restocking fee be my tax amount. Okay. Have you ever tried this one before?
No, we have not.
And then the trick would be to get that restocking fee. Mapped to the right place.
Okay.
I think that could work for us.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I made up a new fishbowl hack.
We love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
Awesome, Jeanne. Okay, so we have Michelle here. Michelle, if you want to unmute yourself, this is a long question, and I haven't been able to speak today. I feel like it's a Monday, but it's a Thursday.
Hey, Jeanne.
Hi.
Okay, so we have some purchase orders from like 2016, 2017 that we see, like we might have ordered 5 of something. We've got 3 of it. It's been reconciled. Now we're trying to close it short and it's not letting us.
And what does it tell you when you try to go close short?
It's telling me, Fishbowl error says, Fishbowl server error, the receipts and or shipments must be fulfilled or entered in order to close short this purchase order.
Okay, so what we need to do is go clean up the receiving page.
Okay.
First, okay? So just because you think you've reconciled them, Fishbowl might not think you've reconciled them.
Okay.
If they're still open over here, and there are a bunch of them, okay, you want to do this very carefully.
Okay.
Because when I hit the fulfill button on this guy, it's going to want to send a bill over to QuickBooks.
Right.
And seeing how they're ancient history and we don't need a bill in QuickBooks, we're going to do this very, very carefully. So you're going to come in here. You're going to make sure you're the only one in Fishbowl.
Okay.
You're going to post do your accounting post. And then you're going to come in here, and for all those bad guys, we're going to hit either the reconcile or fulfill button.
Okay.
Okay. And then we're going to post them. No, then we're going to come over here to accounting, and we're going to mark as posted, because the only thing in that should be sitting there waiting to go over it are these reconciled receipts, right?
All right.
And that way they don't get to QuickBooks.
And it'll get them out of Fishbowl.
And it'll finish up the receiving process so you could close short your purchase orders.
Okay. All right.
And I would do some things, to double check that nobody got into Fishbowl.
Right. Like I could do it in the morning when I come in, because I'm the only one that would be doing a receiving or, I don't.
Okay.
The warehouse people and my accounting people don't get here till 8:30.
Okay.
Here at 8.
You're gonna want to communicate with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
8.
So you want to come in here and make sure everything is posted before you get there, and double check that, you know, the only things that we're going to go out there are purchase orders, and then you can go hit the mark as posted button, but, you know, maintain control of the system.
Right, okay.
All right.
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next person is Leah. Is there an easier way to move a mass amount of inventory from one warehouse to another without having to do it each individually?
Okay, we just want to move them, right? Are we getting a new warehouse or something like that?
We're moving everything from one warehouse to another.
Okay. Now, are they moving it from one warehouse to an existing warehouse that also has other inventory?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not going to show you my super cheat. We have a believe we have move transactions, or we can do a great big transfer order. There we go. That's why it didn't come up. Inventory move. We have a spreadsheet. Okay. And you can, you know, take everything out of the one location group and use this to move everything to a new location group. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm fundamentally lazy, so I really like imports and exports. Next.
Okay, next question. Christina Scott again. Is there a way to add the S in front of the invoice number in QuickBooks? When exporting the sales order to QuickBooks, the S does not transfer over.
That S is shipment number, and I don't know why we would want it to transfer over. You know, so here under our accounting module options, we have different choices: QuickBooks number, or shipment number, or SO invoice number. Okay. The shipment number matches it without the S, but there's no way to add an S. And I have no idea why you'd want to. Or you do have a customer that's referring to the S and it's throwing you guys off, or Christina? Drat, Christina. So no, you can't just add an S. And I don't know why you want to add an S. But if the S is showing up on your packing list and it's confusing your customer, we can modify that packing list form so that it doesn't show the S. That way the customer receives the exact same number as we have in QuickBooks.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay, yay. Yes, exactly what you just said. What's happening is we are sending the customer an invoice, you know, out of Fishbowl. And when we send them a statement for like our end of month customers that maybe pay from statements, they are on some invoices double paying because their system's not catching. They're inputting that invoice with the S in front of it into possibly their QuickBooks.
So
and
what
then
we modify the Fishbowl invoice so it doesn't.
Okay.
So it doesn't go out to the customer with an S.
Okay, is there a way to do that, or is it would that be something custom?
It is probably custom. We can do it, Fishbowl can do it. You know, it's not a big change. So, you know, if you're going to go customize that Fishbowl invoice, I'd put my entire wish list into it before I send it out. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
We have Deborah here asking, how are consumable items that are not used and sold, removed from inventory?
Well, they should never have been in inventory to begin with. Okay. We have all these different part types in Fishbowl. Okay. And anything that's consumable, it's used internally, would either be an internal use part number or non-inventory type part number or a service type part number. Internal use is designed that when I buy it, it just goes, it gets expensed. Okay. Non-inventory and service both have the ability to go for, I buy it and expense it, but I can also allocate it in a bill of materials back into inventory for costing. So yeah, we weren't supposed to set them up as inventory type items. And Deborah, I hope that answers your question.
Oh, she is unmuted, but we'll go ahead and continue.
Put her hand up.
She does have her hand up. I don't know why she can't unmute.
It's confusing the first time.
That's true. I still get confused. I
Deborah
still
said,
sometimes mute everybody, including you, remember? A couple times.
no, I don't remember.
Oh, okay, good. Well, Sophia has a question again. I don't know if anyone else new has a question. No, I don't believe
Yes,
so.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, hi. I'm Shamni from Pacific Crest as well. So we sell doors, and what we do is we buy slabs, door slabs, and we do a little work on them sometimes, and we sell them as under a different classification. So, for example, if I bought a slab and I sell it as an interior slab, and in Fishbowl, under the income account, I have put it down as interior slab, and I also sell it as a barn door. After we've done some work on it, I sell it as a barn door, and I've actually put that income code, a classification for it as interior barn door. But because the raw material for both, the slab is the raw material for the other, would it cause any confusion when it goes over to QuickBooks? Or because I've already set the income classification, there should be no issues?
Yeah, you're on QuickBooks Desktop and you're just sending dollars to QuickBooks.
So it should be okay.
You should be just fine. QuickBooks can handle that.
Oh, okay. We just started doing it, so I was wondering. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, that I think wraps it up. Wow. You guys aren't making me work very hard today. So are we down to the last question?
Yeah, we have a couple of people who had left some questions. Did we already answer Christina's other question? What is the report called that Jeanne just spoke? Oh, you know what? You clarified for her, I believe.
Inventory. It's this one. Reports module, inventory, and I do asset valuation by account because it shows all of my different costs. Now, I personally have got a much improved version of this report in that we have the quantity on hand and the unit cost for life of standard and average on it as well. So, you know, when you've got two elements that determine the value of inventory, quantity and cost, it's nice to be able to verify both of them from the same report.
Okay, and then one last question. How should consumable items be set up so they are not included in the inventory item list?
I think I just did that one.
Oh, did you?
But I can do it again. They should be set up as internal use, not inventory or service depending. And we should make sure that their account coding is where we want it to be. Okay.
All right. So I think that's it. Anyone have any questions before we end this this Q&A?
I have one question.
Okay.
I have one too.
Okay. What report would you suggest using for a physical year-end like inventory count?
Okay. I'm not going to suggest a report. I'm going to suggest an export. Okay. Because when you do a physical inventory, you really have to bring it back in before any other transactions happen. Okay. So I take this guy out. And this is the cycle count data. And it will have it's currently on hand, okay? So we've got part description, we've got the location, we have the quantity that's supposed to be in there, okay? So what you can do is modify this guy. So my row height is maybe 20, all right, or 25. And I can hide this and then I can sort it by location, which is usually how you're going to assign people to go count to begin with, by location. And I can hide this column and then turn this into a worksheet that can print so that they have a column with just a line on it so they can write down what they counted. And then I would have people that have the original of this spreadsheet entering in the count quantities and, you know, making adjustments to see if there's anything that came back really weird. We want to have them recount it. Okay. And then when I'm all done, I will be able to rearrange my columns and import the physical inventory right back in.
Now, does that include if there's 0 inventory items on hand?
No, it only shows the stuff that you do have on hand. So you're going to need one extra sheet out there that's blank for things they find.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Last question, right?
Yes.
Okay. Go for it.
Yeah, Jeanne, so I want to ask a question regarding the inventory adjustment account. So from my understanding is when let's say the raw material lost in the air. So the number will be positive when it's passed from a Fishbowl to QuickBooks, right? So my inventory.
You get a debit and a credit when it goes to QuickBooks. So if my inventory evaporated, I'm going to credit inventory and I'm going to debit inventory adjustment. That is what Fishbowl is going to send to QuickBooks.
I'll do that. I'm a little bit lost on this part.
Okay.
You tell her what you do.
So I come over here to materials inventory. All right, and this guy right here, we went over to stock 300 and we counted it and we have 0. So I'm going to cycle count that down to 0. Okay.
Yes.
And now I'm going to send that over to QuickBooks. Okay. And now when I go over to QuickBooks and my transaction detail today. So here's my cycle count adjustment I just did. Okay. So it's going to become an expense because I lost the inventory, right?
Right.
And it's going to make inventory assets smaller.
Yes, but when it's transferred, when I look at the report of profit and the loss, this part will go into the inventory adjustment as a positive number.
Correct, an expense.
Yes. And then my question is because the first beginning, we didn't use Fishbowl. So we kind of have inventory, we just increased without money involved. So this way, when we increase the inventory, pass from Fishbowl to QuickBooks, the number become negative. And
okay, this is your initial inventory.
Yes.
So what you should be doing is making a journal entry so that that credit, because you've doubled your inventory asset on your balance sheet. So you want to take the credit that's on the P&L and apply it to the inventory asset account to get your inventory down to the correct number.
I kind of, yeah, my concern is because this inventory from first beginning showing the negative, so ended up my profit and loss, the report I think wasn't quite right because the big amount is negative, like $6,000. It decreased my cost of goods, sold. But I think money wise will be right. It increased my profit, right? It looks like my profit goes up, but I think my money spent on the inventory is still right. It's just that the inventory shows negative. The profit wasn't right.
Well, what you should do before you're allowed out is post everything to QuickBooks, okay? And then look at Fishbowl's inventory asset report. Okay, so I'm going to go to the last page. And so those are my numbers. And I'm going to go to the QuickBooks balance sheet and see if they match. If they match, then your credit's okay, or probably needs to be looked at differently. If they don't match, then we're probably back to my journal entry.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I need to know this first before I can answer it authoritatively. All right?
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for having us. This is Simon Boltham, and the Director of Sales here at V Technologies. And I'm going to take a few moments here this afternoon just to speak a little bit about who we are, how we work, not only with Jeanne and Terabyte, but also Fishbowl is the main integration that we offer with our shipping solution called StarShip. So if you want to hit the next slide, Stephanie, give a little bit of background on V Technologies. So we're based here in Connecticut. Everyone from our support to development to sales are all here. We've been around since 1987. StarShip itself has been around since 1989. And basically we launched the Fishbowl integration, the plug and play, with the help of Jeanne and her team back in 2013. So we basically have been working closely not only with Jeanne, but also with Fishbowl to kind of make sure that we can integrate seamlessly to the platform itself. And we have about 10,000 customers across the country and in Canada as well that are using the application today with multiple different shipping carriers along with LTL. And that's kind of the main focus I'm going to focus our conversation around today, is the niche that we have, and we can help automate that LTL BOL document that most of you might be shipping, or some of you, I should say, might be shipping today, not only, or just along with your parcel carriers as well. It's kind of a niche that StarShip offers. So again, go ahead, next slide, Steph. And so kind of the main features here, really what I'd like to take away today is really to understand what we do with StarShip. So again, we talked about the plug and play with Fishbowl. Again, we're pulling that shipment document that you all are creating from your pick and pack. We're basically going to give you a single view for all your carrier options. So instead of using UPS World Ship and Ship Manager and any LTL portal or post office, we're going to bring everything all into one application. So you can rate shop all of your parcel and LTL carriers together, take advantage of any discounted post office rates that you might be available to take advantage of as well. And again, see that in one place versus going to multiple portals. We also have different rules that we can set up between freight rules to ship via rules. So you can add an additional percentage on top of your negotiated rates to pass back into Fishbowl so you can invoice that properly. We can also tell StarShip, kind of to dictate if you have multiple locations, which location that you might be wanting to ship from. So we can do things like that, or kind of use a specific service that you might want to use over another. We also offer EDI integration. So the EDI integration with Fishbowl is kind of nice because we typically just flow everything through Fishbowl, and Fishbowl will work with the different EDI providers. But we also have the ability of printing the 128 labels that some of you might be using to kind of keep it all together with your shipping labels today. We also offer StarShip. We've been offering StarShip as an on-prem solution for the last 30 years or so. But this year, we just came out with our cloud solution for StarShip. So basically runs the exact same way. The only difference is now we offer a monthly SaaS model that you can take advantage of if you're interested in that. And we also work with different hosting providers. So we work with Fishbowl Hosting. We also work with hosting providers like GoToMyERP, as well as Nubay, as well as another platform that we have customers running off of. But StarShip will require you to be on a private, dedicated network to take advantage of the hosting if you're interested in that. Next slide, Stephanie. So this is just a quick slide of the different carriers that we integrate to. So we have about 25, 26 different integrations with parcel, excuse me, parcel and LTL carriers, as well as a few different 3PL parties we work with as well. So again, if any of these are up here that you're working with directly, by all means, let us know. We can talk further. If you don't see your carrier, it doesn't mean we can't help you. We do have a BOL module in the LTL space that we can print your BOL document in StarShip and then get the pro number back into Fishbowl for you. The next slide. So I just took a few screenshots, kind of concluding here of what StarShip would look like when you do bring the order in from Fishbowl. So the nice things I mentioned before, as you do your pick and pack in Fishbowl, we're going to bring that entire shipment as one shipment into StarShip. So in this case here, I have 3 different commodities I'm shipping. You can see here the way it was packed in Fishbowl. I had 2 items in one box. I had another item in another box, and I basically condensed everything on the one pallet. This is going out, you can see here is with R&L as a shipping carrier, and it's going to list out all the dimensions of the boxes, your pallets. We can store that information in StarShip, or we can map it in from Fishbowl. So either one, whichever is more comfortable for you to do, we can take advantage of those dimensions. So that way we're accurately quoting that once we get to the rate shop. Next slide. So this is the example of the rate shop that you're going to get in StarShip. So at the very bottom, before we process the shipment, we're going to be able to see all the different carriers that you have on your license, and along with their transit times that are available. So not only do you get to compare what rates they offer, but also how fast are they going to get to your customer. So you can make and choose. You see that little checkbox off to the left. You can pick and choose which carrier you want to use, and it automatically will switch it to that carrier with your account number, and then basically process that appropriate BOL document for you in this case. we will always show you parcel and LTL together in case if the shipment is on that cusp where it can go either way. Next slide. This is just an example of the BOL document that will print, in this case with R&L, but most carriers will print their own BOL document out of StarShip. We do offer our own straight BOL document that you can also print, but this will have all the appropriate information for the carrier along with those commodities. So those commodities that we bring in from Fishbowl will have information like your NMFC codes and class information stored at that item level. So that's where we're going to bring it in, where you see it highlighted there to put it onto the BOL document, and along with the appropriate NMFC and class information for that carrier to kind of transport that properly. Next slide. And then this is just a quick write back to Fishbowl. So we do everything in real time. So the minute that you create that shipment document, it's going to appear in our lookup window to pull in. The minute we process the shipment, we're going to send that information back into Fishbowl. So you can see here we update the carton level with the pro number. In this case, because LTL is one tracking number or pro number per shipment, we're going to put that pro number the same in both cartons. We'll also put the pro number down at the bottom there where you see tracking number along with the freight cost for that entire shipment. The main difference between that and parcel, in parcel we'll have two different tracking numbers and two separate freight costs per carton in that case. So again, and then the other thing that we do at the end is we will flag this shipment as shipped. So we'll have a little scheduler that runs in the background that will mark that flag as shipped for you. So that way that order can now be closed officially versus you manually checking it. And next slide. And lastly here is just what we can do for you from a notification standpoint to your customer. So you have full access to our template designer where you can have different templates by customer, one for parcel, one for LTL if you prefer. But this is just an example of what we do here as far as logos. You can insert tables, making sure you tell your customer what was on that order. Maybe you back ordered something, but again, with Fishbowl, you shouldn't be back ordering anything. But again, if you have, it's going to tell you exactly what that customer's ordered and what we ship to them. And then also some people will have for e-commerce where they put a coupon code for a future order. And then the other thing you can do with this email notification is basically attach different documents that StarShip produces, such as like a BOL, packing list, etc., for them to take advantage of. So again, neat tool, a little bit more colorful than a standard carrier email. But again, this comes with the license. But again, if you're interested, and I think that's my last slide, I think, Stephanie, on that one. But yep, so there's my contact information. I think Stephanie will put up a poll later after we're done here. If you are interested in learning more about StarShip and seeing a live demo, I'll be more than happy to set that up with any of you or answer any questions as well as we get to the end here. So
thank you very much for viewing this video. And we at Terabyte Solutions are a full-service Fishbowl support firm. So we would like to help you with your Fishbowl issues. Give us a ring at 949-645-1019, and we will be happy to help. Thank you very much. Bye.